Well, I'll go and get my tripod and camera, Steve.
Yeah, sure.
We won't shop anything yet.
No, fine. No, we'll have a look at it.
We've seen it.
It's not much of an order.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
We're all right. We can read.
Do you know me? I just throw things on.
Absolutely.
But yeah, do whatever you want.
Okay, mate. Thank
So
you.
what did he say about there being a Linda Lovelace in here?
Is it apparently Linda Lovelace? Yeah, she's
Linda Lovecraft.
She's a one, isn't she?
Oh, she is. Yes. Linda Lovecraft. No relation, as they say. Now, there's a very scarce paperback. I used to have this, and that's been reissued in what's it called? What's that series called?
Yeah, the American.
Oh God!
You told me about it.
Yeah,
couple of
Paperbacks from Hell. I've got that edition and everything. Shocking, really, isn't it? So this is all new stuff.
Yeah.
Lovely.
From there, these well, call that bay, but I mean it's all this stuff here. Yeah. It's not quantity, but it's quality.
Quality is what counts. And of course, you will see all this on Jules's channel as well. I'm seeing a lot of books I've got, but I'm seeing books that I'd quite like to have. Isn't this lovely? So this is one collection that Bob has acquired. And what's this in a Sarah Press slipcase? Very nice. Alex Maynard and MPN Sims, and this comes from the Maynard collection. Now Bob showed me this last time. He knows I want it, but you know we'll have to. That's telephone numbers, so we will have to think about that. And maybe it's not as telephone number as I thought.
Yeah.
Great, go ahead, yeah.
Right,
so,
here we
Mr.
go.
Bircher, this is about box number 4. You'll see the rest on Jules's channel. So we're making up as we go along, which we like to do.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Ooh,
Well,
lovely.
okay, so starting at the top here, the Berkeley Showcase.
Ooh, nice.
Okay, now that's a series I'm not that familiar with. They look
Yeah, they're
rather
nice,
interesting,
aren't
don't
they?
they?
Yeah,
What's
lovely.
Who's the
Yeah,
authors?
those are obviously 1980s.
Yeah, let's
So
see.
a good broad spread there.
July
81, yeah, early 80s.
edition.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah, they're fantastic, aren't they?
So something out of Star
I mean,
Trek.
these are the sort of things that you won't find in the UK because they weren't published and were distributed in the UK. And of course, we have no import shops these days. Back then we did, of course. But of course, they came up in relatively small numbers. That's the whole thing. You know, it's not like it was.
No,
Yeah,
they're
that's
not
good
into
again.
the
Yeah.
30s then, yeah.
Oh, look what we got here. Now, this is interesting. Now, I don't think this is a first. This one, the Philip K. Dick Award, Memorial Award for, let's see, 86. No, this is the first. I've never seen one of these. Now, my mate Les Escott at Morrigan Books, he published the first hardcover of this. And Homunculus is one of the original steampunk novels. Really, really great. Philip K. Dick Award, which of course is for paperback original. So that's really nice.
Early steampunk. Then,
Yeah. One of the authentic things, you know, because it's been appended to older books. But the true steampunk books are all by K.W. to James Blaylock and Tim Powers.
Yeah.
Ursus of Ultima Thule. Wow. Davidson, I blow hot and cold with.
Yeah.
Now there's an interesting book. Now
The mask.
there's a pan lozenge of this. This is The Lost Traveller by Steve Wilson. Now Steve Wilson was a biker and he wrote books about bikes. This is his one science fiction novel. There's a really nice pan lozenge with a pink cover, which is a bit like Damnation Alley. But Steve Wilson, he wrote a lot of books. He's from the West Country. He's no longer with us. And he's the sort of guy. So if you like bikes and biking, just search for Steve Wilson books because, you know, you'll come across all sorts of things.
Fantastic.
Very
yeah,
nice
I just
copy.
spotted that. I was
Yeah,
just
have
going
you
to see.
got that?
I don't think I
You
have.
should, yeah,
I'm
because
just going
these
to look
are
him up.
these are the ones which are in which are in Weird Heroes,
Yeah.
which you'll see in your video, because in the first box we looked at, there are a few issues of Weird Heroes. This is actually the nicest copy of Great Art Silver I've ever seen. I sold one on a while ago and I upgraded, but this
year
is
did that one
much
come out,
nicer.
please?
This is May 1982, cover up by Howard Chaykin, of course, great comic artist, who also did an Elric of Melniboné graphic novel with Moorcock.
No, it's on the list.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, this is a
I'll
good
grab
one.
that,
Yeah,
that's all
and
right, yeah.
these are interesting stories. I mean, the very first one begins with the immortal sentence, "The mad Fokker struck again." So straight away, you can see where we're going with that.
Very nice, yeah. Excellent. And bottom shelf here. Bottom shelf.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got some more actors.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Jack Williams.
And here's another Blaylock. This is my favourite Blaylock.
That's a nice cover.
Yeah, the Digging Leviathan, again, was published by Morrigan in hardcover, so I don't go for the paperbacks, but this is probably my favourite Blaylock of all, and I would say to anybody, if they want to sort of go for this, I think I put this in 100 must-read science fiction novels. It's about, you know, how essence of carp can make you immortal. There's a lot about tropical fish in it, and, you know, it's rather like eating too much ice cream. You have a great time while you're doing it, but it does linger afterwards, but in a good way, actually. So I really recommend that.
That's lovely, yeah.
And so Bernard Swan, who's very collectible these days, but we are slightly divided about the writing. Yeah, lovely stuff. Excellent. And I think we might look at another box.
I think.
Scare Sandy.
Okay, and yet another box.
A box of delights, yeah.
Okay, all sorts of things in here. There's a bit more SF in here. Lots of unfamiliar names.
Yeah.
And what have we got there? Swords Against Darkness 5. Look at these. Gosh, these, I don't know these at all. These are tandem. Yeah. So it's related to Star and Window.
Early British, early 70s
yeah.
probably.
So, I mean, it's a case for tandem of
71.
mostly... Yeah. Never mind the quality, feel the width. It's usually the Achilles. Yeah, we like Achilles.
Really do, yeah.
We love Achilles.
This is quite early for him, even pre his Doctor Who stuff.
It is, yeah, and it doesn't look like his stuff, does it? It's a lot more full on.
Lots of little dots, didn't he, with his. They're interesting. Never seen those before.
Bit of French SF in Door. Pierre Barbet, interesting.
Okay. Ought to check that number, really.
Lots of H.B. Piper here. Yeah, interesting author David J. Lake, quite interesting stuff. Look at these, marvellous. Okay, right, I think I am looking for the Birthright book, the first book in his massive series for Resnick. Okay, I think we've had a look there.
That's cool.
Yet another box. Right, okay.
Wow, okay.
So, right. Yeah, look at that.
There
There's a tall one, look. Yeah.
It's the American.
Wow. Yeah, they were big as well as the vampire ones. We sell lots of those as well back in the day. And there's a nice,
Thomas Burnett Swan. Yeah. My eyes instantly been pulled to these two.
Oh, aren't they beautiful?
Look at those, yeah. Really nice. Obviously, they're not the first British or anything, but
these ones in that livery are very, very uncommon.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen them before.
Yeah, I have, but never in that condition.
Gorgeous.
Wow.
Yeah.
We've got to love Bradley.
They are, yeah, absolutely.
Machineries of Joy.
And the Thongar books. I mean,
oh,
you sort of have to laugh, don't you? This is Belmont at their best.
When I was a kid, yeah. Excellent. Look at that.
Yeah, they're four.
Yeah. Thongar of Lemuria.
Yeah.
When the oceans drank Atlantis.
That's
Conan, isn't it? That's the film.
They do have their fans, though, don't they?
Yeah. Lemuria. And we've got a bit of Tanith Lee in there. Sherry Tepper, somebody you know much about these days. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, Sherry.
Yeah, these never had a lot of sort of footage in the UK. They sort of popped up and then went. Her SF was more the thing. And we're seeing some more Conan here. And they're the Robert Johnson, the later ones off it. And we have a 10 of Lynn Carter in Door.
Yeah.
And look at that, we've got Josh Kirby jacket, of course.
Gorgeous, yeah. Know that one. Yeah.
Now I know you've seen originals, haven't you, of Kirby stuff? I'm sure. And have you ever seen any original paintings?
Not
because
no.
The colours just pop, don't they? You see, because they're acrylics. I remember seeing some at the Royal Con, and they just like amazing. I saw some of the Terry Pratchett ones, and of course they're much bigger than the books, and they just look amazing. It's beautiful.
He was just
Yeah.
the master, wasn't he?
We're getting very Daw at the moment, aren't we? Make a lot of people very
Well,
happy.
we love Daw. Yeah,
Yeah.
we just love Daw. We
So
both love the
I'm
imprint.
always saying, I say some of it's good, some of it's crap, but in terms of iconography and presentation, it's all subjective on what you think of the actual books. You cannot go wrong. Those seas of yellow spines we used to see
Gorgeous,
in the
yeah.
import shops, those were the days.
A few more kernels.
Okay,
About 10,000 books.
right, so yet another box. And, what have we got here? Right. Wow, look at that. Walt Disney. That sort of
That's
came
an
and went
unusual,
and
movie
sank
time,
without
isn't it?
trace.
Yeah.
Yeah, there can't be many of those around there, you wouldn't have thought.
I thought so, no.
Yeah, you wouldn't have thought there were
One
many
for
of
the
those.
movie time collectors.
Yeah, I never got into that. I wish I had in a
Oh, I
way,
love
because
'em, yeah.
there was a time back in the early days of Hay when you could get the nobody business. Now, there's a nice store. Michael G. Coney, Rax, which of course is Hello Summer Goodbye, aka the Palahaxi Tide. I would say, in a way, that's probably the most representative Coney book, isn't it? If you were to pick one, you pick that, and I covered that in my science fiction to read in the summertime video last year. That's absolutely lovely. Have you got that one? You need to look on your list, the old chap.
Everyone I know that's read that book
Yeah.
speaks fondly of it.
Yeah, it's such
You
a
know what I
lovely
mean?
book, isn't it?
It's just really comfortable
Yeah,
read.
it
No,
is.
I haven't.
Yeah. I think you should have that, and you will love that when you read
Spending
it.
my money, Bob, but
Yeah, well,
Hopefully, wait, I've got something to show you
What have we
later.
got? Oh,
no.
It will blow your mind.
That's a nice anthology. Lovely job.
That's what's up.
Okay.
all right.
Now, I might have to come back to these Tanner Thieves. You have first jibs on those. Oh, look at that. I saw one of these. Morris had one of these. I must go back and see Morris as well, because I do like Jane Yolen. She's in the States. She's really famous. In the UK, she's unknown. She's done a series of picture flats about dinosaurs, but she's been like one of the major names in children's literature in the States since like the end of the 70s. And over here, she's never done much. She was at the World Con and met her briefly. She seemed very nice and very elegant, beautiful fantasy writing. If you like things like Patricia McKillip, Ursula Le Guin, well worth looking out for Jane Yolen. And look at that jacket.
Lovely.
Fringed buckskin. We don't get enough fringed buckskin these days. It's enough to make me wear my New Riders of the Purple Sage baseball cap next time, which will frighten the missus to death. But, we may do it. And, of course, I keep promising you, don't I, that I'm going to do a How to Read Michael Moorcock video.
Yes.
I will. I'm
Still
going to do it
waiting.
just for you.
Yes,
Yeah,
still
it's on the list. Bane the Black Sword, he had that cover, of course, in the sort of Granada Grafton editions later on. Fantastic stuff. And Moorcock, they're getting harder and harder and harder to find in good nick in a format. So that's lovely. I think you should check your list for that if you're
I have got some already, and I've got a viewer in the States got a pile for me. She's just going to send them over.
A viewer in the States as a
Viewer
part
in
of it.
the
Look at
States,
that,
yeah,
that
pile of
cheesy
Moorcocks.
grin there. Yeah, okay, he's doing all right. Marvellous stuff. We can't fault that at all. Lovely. It's a hard life, isn't it, Jules?
It is a hard life when you
It
have to go
is.
through such delights.
I know, it's just terrible. How are we going to cope? And there's another Moorcock. Look
Yeah,
at
another
that.
one jumping
Where
out.
to the White Wolf. Fantastic stuff.
Ah, yes.
Now, there we go. I say my How to Read Michael Moorcock will come up soon, I promise.
I've seen one I definitely want.
Yeah,
It's
no,
that
I
one.
got that for that day we went to Morris's.
I know.
Do you remember?
I know, yeah. I was a little disappointed, but
I've never seen those before.
yeah. I think there's three.
There's three. Yeah,
I thought so. Yeah. Terry Carr is someone I would like you to do like a dedicated video on, please.
Well, I know
'Cause he
Richard.
seems quite
Yeah,
influential, you know.
yeah. Well, as an editor, he was. I'm reading a Terry Carr novel at the moment, and I'm hoping to get a collection of his stories from Mike at Fine Edition. But Mike's not trading at the moment. We're talking online, and I'm hoping maybe one day he'll let me go up and see him. But Mike is like all of us, is getting on in years, and he's finding it hard work these days. So he's like me. He's a loose, decadent fellow. So he eases off sometimes, and he's having a lot of plumbing done in the house and stuff. But I hope you're watching this, Mike. Hope you're well, mate. Yeah, lovely.
Beautiful.
Yeah, there's something coming up on my channel soon about that. By the time this video goes up, I imagine it will be out there. That the World of Tears. Poole Anderson. Now, what have we got here? The Last Viking, Book 3 of The Sign of the Raven. Now, you see, with Poole Anderson, I think his fantasy and his historical stuff is far, far better than his SF. I would always cleave to that. Oh, I don't know that one. Look at that, The Golden Slave. Wow. He's really good at this sort of stuff. Well, I might have to have a look at that, because I do like his historical or his fantasy stuff. Now, what have we got?
these were probably
Look at
reprints
those.
from, these were,
Yeah.
the Avon Fantasy Reader was an old digest, wasn't it?
Yes,
And this
yeah.
must have been pulled from there, I would imagine.
Yeah, very
Yeah, they
nice.
kept the original
Yeah.
sort of logo. The
Yeah,
Fantasy
I mean,
Reader
the funny
logo.
thing now, for decades and decades, for the young fantasy reader, the idea of reading a short story would really give them the fear. But that's where the meat is, you know, the fleetness,
I love
the
it,
swiftness,
yeah.
the sharpness. That's how it was back in the day. Stephen Tall. He is tall as well, isn't he?
It is, yeah.
Doing the old Gulliver thing there. More Marion similar Bradley there.
Yeah, yeah.
Look at that. It's got a title with an exclamation mark. Hawk Mistress. That's what you want. Now,
exactly what you want.
look at this.
This is
Lovely. Aren't
one
they
of our
great?
early ones, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
later ones rather.
I can't honestly say I'm a Bradley fan, but you know, she sort of really went for it.
Yeah.
Darkover, yeah, loads of those. And there's another Christopher Stasher, Escape Velocity. You know, which is good, because you want to see a title like that on a fantasy novel just to mix it up. And this is a prequel to the Warlock in spite of himself. Interesting stuff.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Another one.
Good grief, Jules. It's more Brian Lumley.
And another British necroscope.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember this cover. Yeah, these are
And signed again.
these are the original printings. Yeah.
Very, very nice.
Lovely.
You just don't see them like that, do you?
You don't know. You see the later ones when he became bestseller.
Yeah, well, they're the ones I read. I
Do you
remember
know,
reading through
this
those
is
ones.
is this the one I remember going to?
Necronomicon.
I remember going to the where was it, the London Book Fair.
Yeah.
And let's see, and they had a book called the Necronomicon. It was probably a later edition of this, pretending to be the real thing, because it's not the real book. As you know.
No.
Yeah, there's Psychomach as well,
yeah.
and Psychomech. Yeah,
There
you've
we
got
are.
the whole trilogy there.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Very, very nice. I've just spotted
Super.
the...
I didn't read those. I read the vampire ones.
Yeah, they were brilliant.
Yeah.
weren't they?
Oh,
And
there's another
there's,
following of
the
Heroes of
third one,
Fantasy.
yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
You can get that in the
Grab
older.
that, yeah.
Now, look at
Solomon
that.
Kane,
Yeah, now this is a fairly dreadful film. Shame, because Solomon
We
Kane,
won't hold
great
against-
character.
yeah.
Ramsey Campbell did the novelisation there, which is fitting. And A Gun for Dinosaur. Okay, you can't go wrong with a title like that.
Oh, no.
Yeah, okay. Some interesting stuff in here.
Yeah.
And that's
Interesting.
anthology. Odd little format there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lee Brackett's Big Jump, which everybody seems to be talking about these days. In fact, I think somebody very recently showed this very copy online. I think it might have been Richard at Science Fiction Reads. So. Robert Block.
Yeah.
Look at that. Wow. Excellent.
Very nice.
Yeah. Fond memories of my first read of Psycho, which is essential.
Another Belmont.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Poole and Karen.
Yeah, I remember
Hansen.
those in the UK editions. Here's a cracker. Now, have you got this book in any form?
No.
Oh, wow.
I don't think so.
Yeah, Anthony Butcher, you know Anthony Butcher is?
Yeah.
The big crime guy, the editor, also edited a magazine of fantasy and science fiction in the early 50s. And that is the sort of, there are a lot of others, but those are like the key stories. And that's the Carol and Graff edition. I would say that's late 90s, I would have thought, or early 2000s. Snap it up in any form you can, is what I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. They're nice
On your
as
advice, I
paragraphs.
trust
Yeah,
you.
I would very much
Trust
go
your
for
advice.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of A. Merritt, Phyllis Eisenstein, interesting
Yeah,
letter.
yeah.
I've never seen that one. She did a fantasy series which is partially based upon mother-son incest, or at least there's hints of that, which is not something you come across very often for obvious reasons. But look at these.
Yeah. All
A.
big,
Merritt, yeah.
Very, very nice jacket.
I mean, A. Merritt, you don't come across these very often. Generally, they haven't been in print for a long time. Burn Witch Burn, what a title. I think I'm going to have that because I haven't got that one. The Moon Pool, of course, this is the one which is in all the reference books. Burn Witch Burn gets mentioned a lot. Metal Monster, which is SF, gets mentioned a lot as well, you know. He's one of those sort of people, really before, you know, that you get science fiction being named, you know,
Yeah.
the important stuff. These are Futuras and Orbits there. Look at that, The Face in the Abyss. Isn't that lovely?
I
Gorgeous.
think a lot of them were published originally in Argosy, weren't they?
Yeah, I think yeah.
Some
Yeah,
of
he
the
wasn't.
really old
He wasn't a
pulps.
Weird Tales guy. He's
No.
before that. He's Argosy, isn't he? Yeah, yeah, very much so. Marvelous. Okay, well, I'm going to think about that one, but certainly the other one there. But lovely, lovely stuff.
I go to the Newton Abbot Ale Festival, the Malton Club, literally every year, and I've been like the last 10 years. And I've got a tankard for every year I've been. Obviously, didn't do it during COVID. Maybe even like 2014, I think was my first. So yeah, 10 years. And I was already 2 pints to the wind when she first had 2 pints of real ale. Basically started to peak on the alcohol.
What are you drinking? What is it?
This is the
It's Black Ven.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
It's
and you want it cold, you just say.
it's a bit like a Guinness, but not.
It's not as. I find Guinness too heavy.
Yeah.
If you're having a meal.
Yeah.
It's just
Time for the book haul, and it's a smaller one this time. You will have seen some of these books during the video. Some of them you'll see on Jules's video on his channel. And it felt like quite a rushed day, because the main sort of thing really was to go through what Bob had in those boxes to show you what sort of things are coming up the London Paperback Fair. But both of us bought some things, so I'm just going to talk you through them now. And I got a couple of items which were higher ticket, and obviously one has to save up for what is coming with the Paperback Fair. And also I have some things aside with Bob. I usually have a few things sort of waiting which I noticed and have to think about and look at what the parameters of the collection are, but we'll sort of go through what I picked up. And this is something, this was an impulse buy. Other Worlds #1, edited by Roy Torgerson, published by Zebra. Zebra, a publisher who were around sort of late 70s, early 80s. You never hear much about them. There's some interesting books, usually things which are quite obscure now, and a lot of them are quite collectible. And this is just a original fantasy stories anthology, and I do love a book with the dinosaur on the cover. It was so beautiful. And I've bagged this. I'm getting into bagging these days. Both Jules and I are getting into bagging, and I'm doing it really to protect things, because then when something's bagged and tight, and as long as you let air in, you're going to be okay. You get a lot of mythology about how books can be affected by bags and things, but it's all about the temperature in the room and keeping it ventilated, not too cold. You've got to do your research into these things. It is trial and error. But this has all sorts of people in it, from SP Somto, J.H. Carr, who I'm quite interested in, also Scott Hard, Steve Rasnick, Tem, several people I've not heard of. There's 2 Tem stories in here actually, and I just thought this is just a lovely little book. And I am, when I am drawn to something that's particularly beautiful, when it sort of just nicks your skin and you think, yeah, that's really lovely, I must have that as an object. So that was that one. Then something which used to be a picador back in the 80s. This is a really famous fantasy novel. I say famous. The thing is, these days on YouTube, a lot of people are talking about forgotten books, and very often they are well known to those of us who've been into genre fiction for a long time, but they go in and out of print. And I'm not sure if this is in print at all. This is James Stevenson. This is James Stevens. This is from the early part of the century, and this is The Crock of Gold, which is a kind of Irish fantasy novel, and I read this back in the day, and I'd never seen this pan edition A format, very beautiful. And I thought, well, I would like that in the library, because when you collect fantasy which is non-sword and sorcery, there are a lot of one-off books, and that's the whole point of fantasy, is the imagination and the original and the new. And they're often very well worth exploring, and they have a wonderful period things. Similar things I would say are the book by Hope Merleys, Lead in the Mist, Islandia by Tappan Wright, Silverlock by Jonathan Myers. These one-offs, these authors often did other books. They're known for one. So yeah, really lovely that. I'm looking forward to rereading that one day. It's got an introduction by Walter Delamere, which is really nice. So there we go. Lee Brackett is getting talked about more and more on BookTube. I mentioned her many times, and I read a lot of Lee Brackett a long time ago, and I got rid of a lot of the ones I had, which I shouldn't have. I used to have a wonderful omnibus called Sea Kings of Mars, which is impossibly uncommon now. And probably, if you were to read just one Lee Brackett from her sort of science fantasy things, you'd be looking at The Sword of Rhiannon, and this is an ace, 1953. And this is quite an uncommon book now. And if you have got into C.L. Moore and you like the Northwest Smith stories, I would give this a try. It's very much in that ballpark. I don't think it's as good. I prefer Moore. I think her style is more lush and romantic, but Brackett's in that ballpark as well. And she's a great read if you like people like Ray Bradbury, if you like Edgar Rice Burroughs. And, for me, Moore and Brackett are 2 of my favourite writers from the Golden Age, and Moore predates the Golden Age. and this is really great stuff, and it's got all that sort of romantic planetary romance stuff, canals on Mars, dives and bars. It has a central character who's a bit of an anti-hero, Violet Northwest Smith. Great stuff, and lovely. And I don't normally buy Ace books, but this was in one of those boxes, and I thought fantastic, because I was looking to get a new one. There's only one decent one online in the UK at the moment. It's £17, which is a bit much really. These really need reissuing. Come on, Golax, you can do it. So that's that one. A few things I did show you in the video briefly. As I said, with Poul Anderson, I've got quite a lot of his SF, but I collect them rather for the iconography. I'm not that fussed on his SF writing, but I do like his fantasy and his historical writing, and they usually cross over, because his fantasy novels usually have a historical setting. And I didn't know this one. He wrote this in 1960, then I think it's expanded for this publication in 1980, The Golden Slave. And yeah, this is a zebra as well. So they're a publisher well worth looking at, because they often did things just once and they've never been around since. And this is set in 100 BC, and it's about a tribe called the Cimbrians, and they're mentioned in Tacitus and Plutarch. So this is a real sort of Roman Empire period thing. And of course there were all sorts of people in Northern Europe, Celtic tribes and what have you, or what would become known as Celtic tribes. And yeah, so I thought I'd go for that, because I do like Poul's historical stuff a lot, and I am discovering, because I haven't dug deep enough, that he did more than I thought. So that's a really nice one to have, and I've never ever seen it before. Then we come on to the one of the great sort of masters of pre-war genre fiction from the magazines. That's Abraham Merritt, who's best known for The Moon Pool, which is a book which has been issued and reissued many times. This is another really important one, Burn, Witch, Burn, which is in all the reference books. It's a occult horror novel. I read it on the train on the way back from Dorset, not all of it, because it's only an hour and 40 minutes ride. It's a very pleasant ride, always coming back from Bob's. And Burn, Witch, Burn, I think it's either in 100 must-read horror, 100 best horror novels by Newman and Jones, or possibly in a David Pringle book, I can't recall. But this has got a real pace, and it's very sparse and clipped, but the writing's very strong and detailed, and it's got almost a hard-boiled crime thing going on it as well. And I must say, I'm enjoying reading it. An absolutely beautiful Orbit cover from the mid-70s, and you hardly ever see these books, and if you do, they're always in a mess. So I just felt that I wanted to expand my Merritt collection, because I've had the famous one, The Moon Pool, for years and years and years. This one I know less about. I was just really taken with the cover, The Face in the Abyss. So these are basically horror novels, and of course they're supernatural horror, so they're part of fantasy, but really beautiful, I think you'd agree. But for me, the real wins of the day, the next three books I'm going to show you, and I think this is briefly in one of the videos, and I'd never come across this, and this is something I'm not really a fan of, but I do like associational novels. I like novels which are mainstream by science fiction writers, and this is Alan Dean Foster, and this is Maori. And Alan Dean Foster, of course, was everybody's go-to guy in writing movie tie-ins for SF, late 70s, early 80s, and he did the tie-ins for Dark Star. He did the first Star Wars novel, Splinter in the Mind's Eye. He did a tie-in novel for The Thing, which was unnecessary because, of course, the story just needed to be reprinted, and various other things. You know, he did lots and lots, and he had his own career writing books as well. And I've got rid of the ones I had because they never really grabbed me. But this is an historical novel, as I say. Look at that, fantastic. And I do like a good historical novel, and this is obviously about the Maori, New Zealand. And let's see, The Mystical Adventure of a Lifetime. And this came out round about the same time as A.A. Attanasio's Wyvern, which is another historical novel. And let's see, it's a paperback original, 1988. I don't think it was ever reissued anywhere else at all. And I've read a bit of it at the beginning, and I straight away, because I do like sea stories. I'm a big fan of things like Melville and London, Richard Henry Dana, Marcus Clarke, those sort of things. So from the great sort of 18th and 19th century sort of sea stories, I'm a really big fan of. So yeah, that'll be a nice one, and that'll go in my collection of associational SF novels. There is a video about associational SF on the channel, and yeah, I just thought that was fantastic. Never seen it, so I snapped it up. Then the bulk of what I spent went on two books, which I've wanted for a while. One of them I thought I would never ever get. because whenever you see it, it's always wildly expensive, and I'm going to come to that one last. And then there's one which has really been preying on my mind because I'm trying to get this series completed in hardcover. It's a famous series. There were 10 in total. There were 2 tranches, 2 quincunx, 2 5-book series, and this is the 2nd volume of Roger Zelazny's Books of Amber, and this is the Guns of Avalon in the Faber edition, UK first. Absolutely beautiful. There is going to be something coming up about Faber's 1970s work in SF and fantasy. Absolutely lovely, and I love that artwork, which reminds me of Keith Roberts. I don't think it is Keith Roberts. It's a little bit too crude, but it is rather like what Keith was doing at that time, so I need to research that. Absolutely beautiful. And you see this book, if you look on Abe Books at the moment, there's 2 or 3 there for about £120. There's one which is 1,200 quid, and that's because it's signed by Zelazny. This was a lot less than even the cheapest one. This was less than half the price of the cheaper ones, as Bob did me a deal. And Bob does realistic prices, and you know, he somebody wants to sell books, not hang on to them in the hope that somebody will one day buy them. But I'm really pleased with that. So all I need now, I've got this one, which is the 2nd, the 3rd, 4th, 5th. When I get the first one, and that's going to be quite a struggle, I'm going to have to save up and look around and be sharp. And then I'm going to do a feature about these, and I need to reread them because they're great fun. Science fantasy. I really love these. I think they're a massive influence on Game of Thrones, the Corwin sequence of the first 5. So I was really pleased with that. I'm going to try and pop that on the podium a moment, next to A Merit. And Zelazny, of course, very colourful and sharp. You know, that combination of the softness that you get in fantasy, of the sort of spreading colour palette with the sort of very vinegary sort of sharpness. And I love that. I just think Zelazny's so good at it. Then to finish off today's mini haul, and there'll be another one after the Vintage Paperback Fair, and of course you'll see me and Jules moving videos of that, and hopefully you can come along. And there's a little chat me and Jules after this segment about the experience of shopping at Bob's. This, I never thought I'd get a copy of this, and this is very uncommon indeed. There's a dealer I know who's not working at the moment. He has one. He needs about £600 for it, and it's absolutely spiffing new. I've never seen a copy in the flesh, and this is The Devils of D-Day by Graham Masterton, who is a horror writer. He's written all sorts of things. He's been active since the 70s. He's had a renaissance in recent years. He's really come forward, and I've been selling a lot of his books in work, and it's really been nice to see him come back. He did a 10-book crime series, which are really good, which began with a book called White Bones, which I really enjoyed, and that's set in Ireland. And The Devils of D-Day, as you say, looks like a classic Nazi exploitation, but it is a horror novel. And this is the sort of thing that really conjures up the feel of the 1970s. And it's published by Firecrest. And these were aimed at libraries. And on the back, it lists several other books, all sorts of things. And it says Firecrest Press, Chivers, Bath. Now, Chivers was a publisher that worked in Bath. They did a lot of large print books back in the day. When I first started selling books in the 80s, people would ask about large print a lot more. And Chivers and Ulverscroft were the only people doing it even then. And now it's just not a thing at all. And absolutely lovely. And I think the first is a paperback original, and then this came later. Really uncommon. I do like his work, particularly the early stuff, and it's nice and sharp and fleet, and I'm really pleased with that. And if you look online, you'll see there's one online for about 250 quid, and it's signed. But the condition of this, and you know, as I say, I didn't even go near less than a third of that, because it's about the reality of what people are actually paying for books. So yeah, really nice. And obviously Bob's my mate, and he does me a special deal. So there you go, old collectors together. So I'm really pleased with that. So that's my sort of little book haul. And as I say, time now for a bit of a chat with me and Jules about the paperback fair that's coming up. As ever, that was great, wasn't it?
It was a brilliant visit. We both said we could have spent twice as much yet
we
again.
Could have spent a lot.
There was so much good stuff there.
There was, great stuff.
Well, they've only just got to see the books that we've just been through, and
going through those boxes, that was such good fun, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, the thing was, although Bob had that collection in, from last time we visited, there was stuff that I hadn't got round to shopping properly.
Yes.
So I was able to do that today. So you'll see that in my haul, where I've picked up some Philip Jose Farmer, that was missing, and some British Asimovs I've been after.
Yeah, they've got some nice
Panthers
ones. Yeah.
and that. Which
I'm always thinking as well.
yeah.
Next time.
Next
that
time,
one's for
yeah.
next time. What has he got? 2 copies of? That one's for next time.
It's been fantastic.
Yeah, and I mean the thing is that you get spoilt, don't you? Because we opened. How many of those boxes were there?
At least a dozen.
There were loads,
at
weren't
least,
there?
yeah.
I think I counted 14.
Right.
And
yeah.
the stuff was of such high quality. And okay, it was mostly fantasy, which is less our thing. But at the same time, you know, it would have been very easy to you know, go crazy ape bonkers,
yeah,
as they say.
Totally tonto.
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff that he'd already pulled out and bagged up. I mean, it was, admittedly, it was some really beautiful stuff.
The stuff that's bagged, I mean, yeah, I could have, you know, really...
Those Door horror anthologies.
Yes.
I've only got book 1, and he had pretty much the rest of them.
Yeah, he had some nice stuff.
I know they're like £25 each, but these are mint
a lot of them
and
are
red.
signed.
A lot of them got signatures inside.
This is the thing, yeah.
You know, where do you draw the line?
That's right. And it's also the fact that, you know, you get into that zone when you're there where you step back a bit mentally, and the majority of what he has is such high quality. The cherry pick of consciousness comes and you step back. If you were anywhere else and you saw 2 or 3 books like that,
you would have
you'd go, boom.
Definitely have those, yeah.
So it's a funny thing.
I mean, but it surprised us, even with some of the British editions, like the Brian Lumleys. Seeing those, the Fresh Prince of Necroscope, 2 copies, both signed.
I know.
It's like,
It's just
wow.
wild. I mean, and that printing wasn't around very long, but
No,
I mean,
very,
he's
very
going to take
short
all
time,
this stuff along to the paperback fair.
Indeed, yeah.
London Ephemera Fair with a paperback show on the side at the Holiday Inn, Bloomsbury, London, on the 24th.
24th of March.
24th of March. I've got to get my train ticket. I'm going to rock up about half an hour after it opens. So we're both going to be there. And a lot of that stuff's going to be there.
Yeah, Bob's going to take most of it along. He's tried for an extra table. So anyone who saw Bob had a double spread last time.
So he's going for a triple this time.
Going for a triple. So we'll both be there.
That's right.
Helping out.
The real problem is, how is one going to stop myself wanting to buy those things?
Well, I mean,
because we'll be talking to you guys.
Yeah,
we'll be there. So if you want to come along, we'll be there having a chat and, you know, and shooting the shit, as they say.
We are really excited for it. It's going to be such a great show.
Fantastic day.
Yeah, we want to meet as many viewers of our channels as possible.
We're looking forward to it. Because, I mean, it's all very well and good, you know, watching on YouTube the virtual thing, but the experience is so much richer when you can do it. And that's not to denigrate the virtual, but you know, the opportunities to do these things are so uncommon now.
Absolutely. We want to make the most of this. And this paperback show, if last time was fantastic, I think so many people contact me and say, oh, I'm definitely going to the next one.
Yeah, and I missed it last time.
Clear in the diary.
Yeah, I missed it because I wasn't well.
I think a lot of people are going to be at this show. It's going to be just incredible.
So that'll be the next time we see each other.
It will indeed. Right. I think so, yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for watching, everybody.
Absolutely.
Till then, mate.
Cheers.
The paperback show, there'll be videos from us both before then, but we will see you there, we hope.
Absolutely.
Surprise us, turn up, because it's just going to be great fun. And I'm thinking I'm probably going to have an hour or 2 in the bar afterwards, so maybe I'll see you there. Bye for now, everybody.
Bye.
Cheers, Jules.
Cheers.